When you were a freezing kid wishing you could just blink onto the sun and back, you were actually onto something. But the answer is not what you'd expect. Picture this. You're 8 years old. You're shoveling snow in Colorado. Your fingers are numb, your nose is running, and you have one brilliant thought. What if I could teleport to the surface of the sun for just 1 nanosecond, then snap right back? Long enough to warm up, short enough to survive. So, would it work? Here's the twist. A nanosecond on the sun's surface wouldn't even warm you up, and the reason why breaks most people's brains. The sun's surface burns at around 5,800 Kelvin. Stand there long enough, and yes, you're ash. But a nanosecond? That's the time it takes light to travel about 1 foot. In that sliver of time, roughly 1 microjoule of light energy would enter your eye. That's the same amount of light your eye absorbs from a computer monitor during the fastest possible blink. Actually, is there even a word for the opposite of a blink? Opening your eyes and closing them instantly? There really should be. Here's the wild part. You'd spend 1 nanosecond on the sun, but your brain wouldn't even register it for 30 million nanoseconds. Your retinal cells wouldn't begin firing until milliseconds later. So from your perspective, you'd just see a brief flash, one that lingers far longer than the trip itself, a ghost image of a star. As for your skin, the heat absorbed would be roughly 100,000 times weaker than holding your finger in a lighter for 1 second. You'd feel nothing. You'd notice nothing. So, the kid's plan actually works. Mostly. But what if you punched in the wrong coordinates and ended up inside the sun instead of on the surface? The surface of the sun is actually the cold part. While the surface sits at a few thousand degrees, the interior reaches temperatures in the millions. Using the Stefan-Boltzmann law, we can calculate exactly how much energy would slam into your body inside the sun's core. The answer? You would hit the threshold for second-degree burns in 1 femtosecond. That's 1/1,000,000th of a nanosecond. You're spending a nanosecond there. That's 1,000,000 times longer than your burn threshold. And here's the part I called good news, which in hindsight was a terrible framing. Deep inside the sun, photons aren't visible light. They're X-rays, hard and soft. They don't just burn your surface, they penetrate your body, heating your organs and shredding your DNA at the molecular level before the heat even gets started. So no, do not spend a nanosecond inside the sun. You've heard the story of Icarus. His wings melted because he flew too close to the sun, but that's actually not why they melted, and the real reason changes everything. Temperature and heat are not the same thing. Melting requires a specific amount of heat energy absorbed per kilogram of material. And heat absorbed depends on both temperature and time of exposure. Icarus's wings didn't melt because of proximity. They melted because he lingered. He stayed too long. Fly close, stay briefly, leave fast. Visit anything in short enough hops, even a star, and you might just survive it. The universe doesn't punish curiosity. It punishes staying too long. What would you teleport to for 1 nanosecond? Drop it in the comments.